Well, so I'm finally doing an every blank ranked on a Switch game. Something I've been teasing for quite a while now. What, you thought the game was going to be a Nintendo IP? Ha ha! Not today. No, this is actually based on the worst game on the Switch that I own. If not the worst game to ever come out on the Switch. Cartoon Network Battle Crashers. This game taught me a valuable lesson, and that is to always look into the game you're about to buy. I bought this completely on impulse, thinking that would be like a Super Smash Bros. Type game, but with Cartoon Network characters. I would have loved that, since this era of Cartoon Network is what I grew up with. Well, 3 of these shows at least. And this wasted opportunity has me thinking about doing a Battle Crashers draft of characters that would be in the game if it was like Super Smash Bros. But that's for another day. Anyway, this type of game would have only been acceptable in the NES days. It's a side-scrolling beat-em-up. In this age of video games, that won't suffice for the average epic gamer anymore. The game seems like something that should be available to play on their website for free. I completed the whole game in just 4 hours, and I'm a slow player. For reference, I'm at 20 hours into Xenoblade Chronicles 2, and I'm only 40% through the story. Battle Crashers still seem too long though. All of the levels aside from the bosses are the same but with a different setting. The enemies are the same throughout the whole game, and difficulty only increases by increasing the amount of enemies that they throw at you. The game also did this annoying thing of making you go through this long annoying level, but at the end some characters like, oh, you don't have the specific item to get past this barrier. Go back to this level you already played to get the item. So you go back to a past level and play through the entire level to get this one thing. Then you go back to the level you needed the item for, play through it all over again. These levels average 8 to 9 minutes, by the way. And then use the item just to complete it and move on. It's infuriating. Anyway, rant partially over. There are 6 different playable characters and I'm going to be ranking them all. You know the drill. So let's get into this waste of $40. Sorry for the long rant at the beginning, but these next segments they should be shorter. I'm starting off the list as Clarence. Clarence is the show I'm least familiar with, and apparently it's still going. This is the character you start off as playing, and you can tell why after you play a few other characters. I mean, most characters have a plus and a drawback to them, but I just see no plus with Clarence. I didn't really bother looking up stats for the characters of this game, but I'm pretty sure he has the lowest attack. Also, his attack is very short. It's just one tiny spurt of soda from his soda gun. If you want to take out an enemy fast, you have to mash that attack button. I used my index finger to mash it instead of my thumb because I didn't want to get carpal tunnel. There are 2 additional abilities each character can do besides their basic attack, and it involves the blue meter below the health meter up top. One attack drains the special meter, and the other can only be used when the special meter is full, and using it would auto-deplete the whole meter. For sake of brevity, the former will be called the side special, and the latter will be called the up special, since those are the buttons you push to use them. Side specials are almost always not an attack, but rather like a movement thing. Clarence uses a soda jetpack for his side special, so you can levitate for a short amount of time. And his up special is him laying down soda mines. There's one more thing, which is what I call the final smash attack. It basically, if you pick up a bouncing walkie-talkie in a level and use it, it'll show an animation of the friends of whoever you're playing, and they auto-kill every enemy on the screen. But honestly, it's not really worth it. Clarence has his 2 friends that come on, Caillou and Steve from Minecraft, to splatter eggs all over the screen. Again, these final smashes aren't too helpful in the grand scheme of things. I did not intend for that last segment to be so long on a character I don't even know, but I guess I was introducing the mechanics of this game, so it's expected. Now we're moving on to a character I'm more familiar with, Gumball. I watched the earlier seasons of the show, and I kind of lost interest from getting older, and the whole switching the cast to keep Gumball sounding young really threw me off, though I understand why they did it. Nevertheless, I found the comedy in The Amazing World of Gumball to be right up my alley, so I'm glad he's in the game. However, he's not too great. Gumball's gimmick is that he can use his vacuum weapon to extinguish these little blots of like elements. Throughout the game there are these little tiles that will affect you if you step on them. Fire tiles damage you, ice tiles slow you down, electric tiles temporarily stuns you, and poison tiles slowly drains your HP over time, which you should watch out for those last ones. Gumball is able to temporarily extinguish them. Keyword temporarily. They come back after a while, and that sucks. Here's the thing, every level is pretty much the same thing. Beat bad guys until you can move on, and then you get stopped, and then fight baddies until you can move, and repeat. If I'm constantly moving on, there's really no use of extinguishing these tiles. If I was stuck there the entire level, then yeah, maybe. But I'd honestly just rather avoid the tiles if I can. But one thing enemies do is they walk over the tiles, and then the element affects you if the enemy hits you. For example, if the banana gunman steps over a poison tile and he now has poison bullets that will poison you if you're hit, it's ridiculous. But still, if Gumball's vacuum permanently distinguished the tiles, I'd consider using it. But since it doesn't, I won't bother. Gumball's side special has him spinning in the air. I honestly do not know the purpose of this. If you want to get behind the enemy, I guess. But then again, you can just use the regular jump or just simply move with your legs to do that. His up special is probably his most useful attack of all. He throws some sort of fan on the floor and it pulls most enemies towards it. Smaller enemies are auto-killed. Although bigger enemies don't die from it, one hit with the vacuum is all that's needed to take them down. But remember, up specials can only be used when the special meter is full and automatically depletes it. I don't use the side special, so it's going to be full anyways, but I have to wait for the special meter to recharge to use it again. Gumball's final smash is Darwin using the Gumball equivalent of a Kamehameha wave. Again, all final smashes just kill every enemy on the screen at that time, and if you don't use the final smash in a certain amount of time, it's taken away from you, so it's barely worth it. This show I have never had a single droplet of interest in. Just the name of it alone makes me go through herds of mental gymnastics. How can you be both an uncle and grandpa to one person? You know what? I don't want to know the answer to that question. Uncle Grandpa in this game does actually provide some little nicks and crannies that are useful in battle. Pretty much every plus to this guy is in battle alone. It's not like Gumball's extinguishing vacuum or Clarence's jetpack. However, like I said, those two examples don't really prove to be useful anyway. The most important mechanics are the ones that will destroy enemies in the fastest time possible. His regular attack is pretty strange, I must admit. It cycles through 3 different weapons. If you use a certain weapon for long enough, it'll switch you to another one. Why? No clue. Maybe it has something to do with the show. I don't know. First is the fire extinguisher, and that has flames coming out of it. I just realized the irony in that. Huh. This weapon is good for damaging the enemy a lot in rapid succession. Next is some sort of bomb that launches from his fanny pack. This one is probably my favorite since it does a lot of damage from a ways away. The third is the parking meter, which you use to smash down on enemies. I don't like how they switch out without you wanting them to, so I'll just move on to the specials. I'll start with Uncle Grandpa's side special, since it's never used. It's his side special, when you hold down the button, has his head detached from his body and float around. Wherever the head is, when you take your finger off the button, that's where the body will teleport to. It's in the same vein as Gumball's in the sense that I think it's there so you can get away from enemies, but I hardly ever see it useful. His up special is his head being detached from his body again, and then it blows up. It doesn't do a whole lot. The attack has a small radius, and finally, his final smash. Some tiger and a green guy just fly past and damage the enemies. All final smashes do the same, just with supporting characters from a certain character's show. I cannot stress that enough. Don't think that they're special. But overall, Uncle Grandpa is probably the most neutral character in the list. The last 2 characters aren't very useful. The next 3 are notably useful in some way, but Uncle Grandpa is just in the middle. Use them if the better guys are already down. So like I said in the last segment, these are the characters you will find yourself using the most. I myself am an organized person, so I like to level up all the characters together, so I used all the characters. I kind of hate myself for that, but for speedrunning, this last half of the list is where it's at. This is the characters you're going to use and are going to be notably higher level than the rest. And next in the list we have Steven Universe. Many people have suggested the show to me, but I've never really gotten around to it. But I've also been told that the later seasons get janky, so I don't want to start watching it and then be disappointed by the time I've gotten so far in the show. However, I heard it's pretty progressive, so I'll give it that. But let's talk about the game itself. I know I hyped up this guy, but he still is only just past the halfway point of the list. He definitely has perks though. There are no real drawbacks to Steven Universe, just that the last two characters are a lot more useful. Steven Universe's gimmick is that he takes out shields. Sometimes enemies have purple shields around them, and you have to break the shields in order to damage the enemy. And if you don't kill the enemy in time, the shield will regenerate. It's super annoying, but Steven Universe takes care of that. He emits a purple shield of his own, and its size depends on how long you hold the attack button. You could hold it for a long time and basically one-shot an enemy, or rapidly press the button to bombard the enemy with tiny bubbles. His purple bubbles are designed to take away an enemy's shield almost instantly. I should also note that any character can take down a shield, but it just takes more hits. Steven's attack does it swiftly. As for actually damaging the enemy, they do alright. As for a side special, instead of it being a way to escape the enemy like Uncle Grandpa or Gumball, it's actually more for defense. He creates a shield around himself for blocking projectiles. It's still pretty neat, but I barely use it. What's cool about the Steven side special is that it doesn't deplete your special attack meter. His up special is Steven using this gun of some sort to blast whoever is in front of him. It's pretty good for an up special, but it's so short and it takes a recharge to use it again, so you don't really take down that many enemies. It's more luck than anything. Steven's final smash, which again is not different from any other damage-wise, has 3 characters from the show coming together into the Spider Lady. It's one of the cooler animations though, so yeah, shield destroying is good, so thanks for that, Steven Universe. Now we are getting to my go-tos. These last 2 characters in the list are pretty much the only ones I ever play. The first of them is Finn and Jake. Adventure Time, especially the earlier seasons, were my jam back in the day. I stopped watching once Flame Princess entered the scene because this was when the romance was just overcrowding the show. Nevertheless, the show ended a few months ago and I'm currently watching through the entire series again. I guess I'll just grudge through the part that made me stop watching. I'm pretty sure Finn and Jake in this game are the real heavy hitters, the guys that do the most damage. His regular attack depends on his side special. The side special cycles you through 3 different methods of attack, and it all depends on Jake. This is unlike Uncle Grandpa where it cycles you through weapons automatically. The standard weapon is Jake as a hammer. This is probably the one you'll use most often since it's the default. It's a nice touch that after every hit with the hammer, you notice that Jake is wincing in pain from the impact. It's a nice touch despite the bad game. But use the side special and Hammer Jake will turn into Boomerang Jake. This would be the best used if you were low on health and wanted to stay away from enemies. It's a pretty good projectile. And finally, the last one is just Jake and Finn's backpack. What he does is scoop the enemy towards you. It's not really that practical at all, because while it does some damage, the enemy ends up being close enough to hit you, so it's probably not the best. Finn and Jake's up special puts Finn in his Jake suit, and they pound the ground until the special meter runs out. It does some damage, and it's easy to navigate compared to other up specials because you can actually move around while the special meter depletes. His final smash consists of Billy, Finn's hero who eventually gets taken over by the Lich. Strange character choice for a final smash, but who am I to judge? Overall, Finn and Jake is a superb fighting duo in this game, but there's still one character left who trumps them. Here it is, fellas, the #1 and best character in the game. Also, it's fittingly the last character you unlock. Everybody, meet Mordecai and Rigby. Regular Show was the actual jam back in the day. Regular Show suffered from an obsessive amount of romance, just like Adventure Time a few seasons into the show. However, after a romance rut, I think they recovered in the later seasons, only to have a meh ending. I mean, Mordecai's wife turned out to be some bat chick that he ran into or something during a montage. I know it's more realistic than him ending up with Margaret, but But this is a regular show. Since when was this show realistic? Anyway, let's get into how they are in this game. The main attack totally makes this character. Mordecai wields the power glove, and with this, it shoots an infinite supply of electricity. And you can hold down the button for as long as you want, and it will keep coming. It's not like Clarence, where you have to spam attacks and make your hand disintegrate at the seams. What's also great is that you can change the directions of the attack without having to disengage. Say you're taking out enemies in front of you, and another tries to sneak up behind you. Just turn the joystick the opposite direction, and Mordecai will get them. The power glove's range easily reaches at least to the halfway point of the screen if you're shooting from the leftmost position. But enough about this amazing standard attack. What about his specials? Well, his side special is just a simple dash, but I'm fine with that. Gumball and Uncle Grandpa's side specials are for movement too, but it's just too weird for my taste. This dash is fine, it's simple, it works. His up special is like Uncle Grandpa's. It's an attack that affects surrounding enemies and is only useful when there are several enemies around you. It's a reference to that episode of Regular Show where they try to become a band and they strum their guitar and hit enemies with their musical notes. I don't know. It's a nice callback to the show. And finally, his final smash consists of Muscle Man and High Five Ghost. Side note, remember when they tried to give High Five Ghost a romance? That's freaking too far, my dude. So that concludes my one-off every character ranked of Cartoon Network Battle Crashers. Never would I recommend this game to anyone, not even my worst enemy. Spend your $40 elsewhere. Don't let your love for some of these shows get to you like it did me. I do have plans for my next every character ranked. I guess you could say I'm going back to my roots for this one. But it'll be a while before that happens, so expect a few one-off videos in the meantime. Till then, adios.